Perfecto. All righty, folks, let's get into it today. Let's have a little bit of fun. I hope you're ready to have some key takeaways. If you don't have your pencil and your paper ready, well, you got 1 more minute to do it, let me tell you, because we are going to have so many great things happen. We're going to be talking a little bit more about literacy in your childcare center within your classroom. This is going to be just a fun-filled session. So let's dive into a couple of the housekeeping pieces. Before we do, as always, folks, we are not the faces of legal or financial advice, nor would you really want me to be at the end of the day. Realistically, folks, we want you to take away tips, tricks, techniques, things that you can change within your classroom that, of course, are not absolutely pending on somebody else's permission. We want you to make sure you're taking away some great key pieces that you can implement. And of course, if you're making any large changes, make sure to consult the right people. So whether that be a legal, a financial advisor, anything like that. Of course, maybe even talking to your licensing rep if it's something that you think would be involved with them. So just make sure you are 100% before you make any large changes within your center, of course. We're going to start with our land acknowledgement.
Hi Mama acknowledges that our main headquarters is situated in Toronto, Ontario, on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word takaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing. As participants and guests in today's webinar, we are coming together from many different places around the world. We encourage you to learn about and acknowledge the land from which you participate.
And we're going to jump into our diversity and inclusion statement.
Hi Mama is committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming environment for our employees, customers, and community. Hi Mama welcomes and celebrates individuals of all backgrounds, orientations, and identities. Our Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee aims to ensure we provide a safe environment for everyone to thrive while bringing their authentic selves to work. Our mission is to promote an inclusive workspace for all employees through education, discussion, and celebration of our differences. Embracing these differences while coming together with a common purpose is what makes our team extra special.
Folks, if this is your first time with us, a couple of key pieces, and of course, if this is whatever, your 20th time back with us, maybe even your 50th, wherever you're at, welcome back. Of course, this session is being recorded. So if you do have to leave early, hope you don't have to, but we understand if life does call. Please know that the session is being recorded and that we will be sending out a copy of the recording to you in the show notes email, which you'll be getting by early next week. You should be seeing that come to your inbox, so just keep an eye out. If you need the CC tab, please do utilize it. It's there for you. Just click the tab and everything should be going. And we're also recording with the closed captions on as well, just to make things a little easier for you. So what we'll be doing here, if you're in this live session, you're going to be sent out a certificate for participation here. We'll be sending it out by early next week, as well as if you're accessing the recording, we will have a template in there for you to download and fix up for yourself, and any of the resources that we talk about today. So we have a couple of pieces we're going to be chatting about. They'll all be included in the show notes email for you, and you'll be able to find it as well on our blog post. So just keep an eye out. We'll be getting all of that information out for you. And last but not least, if you're having any trouble, I hope you're not. If you're having any trouble, please do seek support.zoom.us. They're the best folks to help you out. They know their product the best. I definitely have husband IT for a reason. So they can just be the ones to help you out the most, especially when it comes to any issues you might be having with Zoom. So folks who are just joining us, make sure as well to pop your chat over to everyone. I love seeing all your fantastic comments, and I know the community does as well. So just make sure to do that for yourself so you can participate in the action that's happening. If you've never heard of us before, welcome. Glad to have you with us. So of course, we're Hi Mama, but we're Hi Mama Helps webinar. But if you've never heard of us before as a application you can use within your classroom, please do take some time, book a bit of time with us. We'd love to be talking about how we can help you in your classroom, in the front office, wherever you work. We'd love to know how we can help you, how we can support you. Kaya just popped a link in the chat. We'd love to show you around and how we can help you out within and make you part of the Hi Mama community as well. So we'd love to have you. Know that if you do sign on with us, and I know I've seen a couple of our fantastic customers already on here. Thank you for joining us today. But know that we have a fantastic support team. They're here to help you 100% of the way. This is actually Julie. If you guys missed it a couple of weeks ago, Julie made a guest appearance. Hello, Miss Susan, first time. I'm glad to have you with us, but no, folks, we are here to help you. And of course, there's tons of things on our website that come from our podcast to our articles to our blogs to our activities to you name it. There's so many pieces on it. All of our recorded webinars. I could go on for a while, but not going to take too much time up. And know that we're here to, there's tons of free things out there for you. So last but not least, also know that we are B certified companies. So what that means, folks, is that we make a positive impact on in this case, being the education space as the community that we're very much involved in. So know that we're here to support you all the way. If you've never been here before, I've already said this, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. I'm Regina Rees. I am the host here at Hi Mama Helps webinar. I'm also the community ambassador and an educator. I spent 6.5 years in the field and it was phenomenal to have that time there, but I'm also really happy to be here today. Don't have very many fun facts for you, but I think Kaya, my co-host, my colleague in crime, I couldn't do this without you. Kaya, you're doing a social promotion. You're doing something. Tell us a little bit about that.
I am. So we're actually spotlighting our amazing educators right now. We're spotlighting them on our social media, so on our Facebook and on our Instagram, and we want to hear from our community. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in the chat. It's a quick form that we're doing. And yes, you can absolutely nominate yourself. If I was still in the field, I would nominate myself. I know I'm an amazing educator. So we want to see those amazing submissions. All you have to do is fill out this form, and all of our spotlight winners will receive a Hi Mama swag pack, including our very, very famous Hi Mama hats with the propeller. Yeah, super excited to see those nominations. And in case you missed it, I am a blob today. So this is my Halloween costume at the office. Those amazing blobs, we made little cutouts, myself and a few other coworkers. So we're the Hi Mama blob family. Can't wait to see all the other costumes too.
I love it. I can't wait as well, Kai. I know we've seen some coming on social slowly but surely because we're getting, of course, a little closer. But folks, anything you need, please do pop in the chat. Kai will be able to help you out. She's here to support you all the way. And if you want to know a little bit more about those blobs, check out himama.com because they're all over our website. And it was, I definitely got a good laugh because of it. It was great to see. Without further ado, folks, I cannot wait to introduce her. Welcome back, Dr. Regina Rees. She's coming from Tools for Life. We had her on in the spring, I believe it was. Regina, do join us, please, here. And we were so excited to bring her back. If you missed her session, you'll be able to link out and we'll be able to give you a copy of there. But Regina, before we jump in, share a fun fact about yourself.
Well, a fun fact about me is I've been an educator for over 40 years.
I love it.
And fun fact number 2 is I am associated with Tools for Life, Better Futures, wonderful resources for social and emotional learning. And so through that is how I met the Hi Mama folks. So hi, folks.
Regina, welcome back. I'm going to hand it over to you. I think the stage is set. You're talking a little bit more today about like when we had you last time, you had so many great things about bringing literacy into the classroom. I couldn't wait to have you come back and talk a little bit more and of course, give us some great tips and techniques to pass along. So without further ado, the floor is yours, my dear.
Well, thank you very much. Well, happy autumn to everybody. I'm dressed in my little autumn finery. I love crazy hats. And I just hope wherever you are, the weather is lovely and that your children are so excited to learn. Now, I'm in Northeast Ohio, and we have kind of an extended summer. So our leaves are just kind of turning now, and it's absolutely gorgeous out there. So for those of you who live in places where the leaves don't change, check it out and look on Google and different photos, and you can see how beautiful the leaves are. And then you'll see what a big deal, what all the fuss is about, because it is just gorgeous. So I'm often criticized for people think I don't take things seriously, but I do. I take literacy very, very, very seriously. Just because I like to make things fun and exciting and meaningful, I believe that it is the serious business of having fun with reading. So this is part 2 of my presentation. So for those of you who were at the last one, thanks for coming back. And for those of you who weren't, go check it out, because I believe it's still there. And so you can check out what we did the last time. So we're going to kind of build on that. And so, hey, let's celebrate. If you give me a book, I'll take a look. I cannot wait. This book is great. Okay, join with me. I know I can't hear you, but that's okay. I know you're out there. So here we go. It is, if you give me a book, I'll take a look. I cannot wait. This book is great. And this book is a great book. It's called The Lonely Scarecrow by Tim Preston, as you can see by the cover. And you know, I do love to judge books by their covers, because the illustrations are absolutely lovely. And I'm not going to read you the entire book, but I just want to have you understand how lovely the language is here. In the middle of a field, under a sky the color of cornflowers, stood a scarecrow. He had a scary face, but a kindly heart. And more than anything, he wished that the animals and the birds would be his friends. Well, the story goes on and it takes you through the season. It begins in spring and the little animals are out running around the field, but they're all afraid of him. They avoid him because he's scary looking. And he's so sad because he would love to be the animals' friends, but he just can't do anything about it because they are so scared of him. Well, along comes summer and fall, and here comes winter, and the snow begins to fall. And what happens is the snow covers the scarecrow, and he becomes a snowman. And now, oh, he's just lovely, and the animals love him. They're playing all over him. They're crawling around inside the pockets of his coats, and they're having so much fun scampering around. And so now the scarecrow isn't lonely anymore, but he has this thought in the back of his head. He's saying, well, what happens when summer and spring come again and they see that I'm not cute and pretty like a snowy snowman, and maybe they'll be afraid of me again. Well, spoiler alert, spring comes and they are not. The animals learned that he isn't scary just because he has a kind of a funny look on his face. So that's the story of The Lonely Scarecrow. I highly recommend it, not only for its actual story, but what a wonderful opportunity to practice some social and emotional learning. So some of the ideas I was thinking about as a follow-up to this. First of all, I'm thinking that you probably will have to build a little background about scarecrows. I don't know about where you live, but where I live, the only scarecrows we see are on people's front porches decorated. They're decorations now. And I would imagine in real life, probably most of the farmers put fertilizer and chemicals and stuff, and they really don't need the scarecrows. So maybe you might have to build a little bit of background about scarecrows, what their job was, and so on and so forth. But as a follow-up now, have you ever been lonely? Why were you lonely? What made you lonely? Well, why was the scarecrow lonely? These are the types of questions that you can have a lovely discussion with the children. And what did the animals learn about that scarecrow? And so this would lead to a lot of nice conversation about maybe one time somebody was afraid of somebody because they thought they were mean and they realized that they were very nice. So how about if you decided to have a letter from the animals to the scarecrow, and the children could dictate to you and you could write it on your whiteboard or however you display things, and that would be a nice letter. Or maybe the children could make cards. Well, better yet, I'm thinking, we want to encourage our children to use their imaginations, to respond to literature, to practice oral skills and listening skills. And what better way to do that is let them talk. So I don't even know if your children know what this is. You might want to use a cell phone, but I thought, how about if the children were able to talk to the scarecrow and make a phone call and tell him what they thought. Hello, Scarecrow. This is the bunny rabbit. I'm sorry we were so scared of you. We didn't know you, but now that we know about you, we love you. We want you to be our friend and we'll never turn away from you again. That type of thing. Who knows what they'll want to say to the scarecrow, but let them do something like this to respond to this, because, you know, we have our pre-readers and our pre-writers, but you still want to get them involved. So this is one way you can do it. Now, move on here, and wow, hey, who's going trick or treat? Y'all going trick or treat? It is so much fun. Well, here's another fun thing to do with trick or treat, because we know you probably are going to have parties and parades and whatever else. But to me, when it comes to Halloween, my big pals are, I love jack-o'-lanterns. I just think they're wonderful. So once again, some little fun things you can do. Let the jack-o'-lanterns help your kids learn. And so here I have this jack-o'-lantern who could help them count. So we have 1, 2, 3, and the numbers go around and help the counting process. But let's go back and maybe we could have a story. What happens if there were 4 jack-o'-lanterns? What kind of story can we make with 4 jack-o'-lanterns? Maybe there was a big jack-o'-lantern, then a middle-sized jack-o'-lantern, and a little jack-o'-lantern, and just a tiny baby jack-o'-lantern. What kind of stories could we make up about that? And then, did you ever stop to think about jack-o'-lanterns? What do jack-o'-lanterns eat? I always wanted to know, what in the world could a pumpkin eat? Well, this one might like a cheeseburger. It might like bananas. And so what this is just a piece of cardstock, cut out the jack-o'-lantern, and here's the typical circle thing. Leave a little handle there, and it's a brad, and so it's going to swing around, and you could fill it up with whatever you want. I'm thinking, let's make up a story. What happens to the jack-o'-lantern who doesn't like bananas? Once there was a jack-o'-lantern who didn't like bananas. He liked pizza. He liked hamburgers, but he didn't like bananas. And the story can go from there. The children could all chime in. They can take turns thinking up things, and you could have a great big class story. Or maybe you could have groups of your kids, and someone could make up a story about a jack-o'-lantern who likes or doesn't like tacos, avocados, all of the things you put there. They could make up their own thing, and then they could retell as time goes on too. So there's just a little bit about that. Now, what we're doing here, when you have these types of stories, it's based on, it's an accumulative story. So like, this is the house that Jack built. This is the malt that lay in the house that Jack built. This is the rat that ate the malt that lay in the house that Jack built. So when you do things like this, you're teaching your children a form of literature, a cumulative thing. So let's see what else about trick-or-treating. Hey, how about this? Have to have a little trick-or-treat basket. So what I did was, what are some of the things you might get in your trick-or-treat basket? Cookie, candy bar, crayons, donuts, all kinds of little things. So I put them on cards and I put them in the trick-or-treat basket. And so now you can pass this along to your children, and everyone takes a card out. Okay, and then whatever kind of display you have, and the first child will come up and say, in my trick-or-treat bag, I got a donut. And so they'll display it there. And the next person comes up and says, in my trick-or-treat bag, I got a donut and a ball. And the third one, I got a donut, a ball. And by this time, the whole class can say donut, ball, and then when the student says crayon, okay, and then we go on and on and on like that. And once again, it's an accumulative story. And so as time goes on, and look what we're doing, we're practicing listening skills, we're practicing identification of items, we are also practicing sequencing and memory. So as time goes on, maybe you won't even need to display them. Maybe they'll be able to remember when someone says donut, what, and on and on and on. So just a fun little thing you can do. You could do this for any holiday, whatever. Hey, Christmas time, what did they get in their stocking? That type of thing. So just a fun little easy thing. Please notice that everything I do is low tech. I love technology, but you know what? Sometimes the classroom is just the place you just want to have some fun things that you don't have to plug in or worry about electricity or batteries or anything. It's all children centered. Okay, let's see what else here. Oh, I am sure that you have ways that you want to reward your children, or that you choose them to do certain things. And did you ever think about, I don't know if it's someone's birthday or if it's just their turn to do something, let them choose the next book you're going to read. So maybe you have 2 books that you're thinking about, and so let one of the children choose. So what you can do is have a little chant, and you'll learn it. You'll say it first, and then the rest of the class will catch on. So I'm going to ask one of my students, and this is what I'm going to say. Here is Kaya, as happy as can be. Kaya says,
please read to me.
Point to the east and point to the west. Now, point to the book that you like the best. Oh, she pointed
that one.
to this one. Okay, thank you. So you see how that goes. And after a while, the class will know that too. And so I don't know if you want to do it once a week or whenever, just put out a couple of books and have the designated child be the person who chooses, and have everybody recite that little chant. And it's really nice because it's a nice little procedure that you can do, and everybody can join in, and they can hardly wait till it's their turn. So we have here the little old lady who wasn't afraid of anything. Oh, I just love that. So here she is, and this is by Linda Williams. Once again, it's a very clever book with nice illustrations, colorful. And so here is the story. Once again, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to retell it to you. So once there was a little old lady who wasn't afraid of anything. So one night she was coming home, and all of a sudden she heard a sound. Clop, 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 clop. She turned around and she noticed that there was a pair of boots. Clop, 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 following her. She thought that was pretty unusual that a pair of boots would be following her, but well, that's all right. She wasn't afraid of it. So she walked a little bit faster, and pretty soon she heard wiggle, 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 wiggle. And she turned around, and there was a pair of pants, wiggle, 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 following her. This is really unusual that a pair of pants would be following me. I'm not afraid, but I'm just going to move along a little bit faster. And the same thing happened a little while later. She could hear swish, 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 swish. She turned around, and it was a shirt. Now, what business does a shirt have to do with following me, she said, but she kept on going. And pretty soon she heard. Now, by now, you could have the children join in with the sound effects. It's great to do some sound effects. So now it's a little pair of gloves. The pair of gloves are clap, 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 following her. So she's moving pretty quickly now. She's a little worried about this. Someone emptied out their closet. I don't know what, but they're after her. And finally, she's walking and walking and running, and she's just breaking into a little trot. And all of a sudden she hears, boo! And here it is. It's a pumpkin head following her. And he says, help me out, everybody. Boo! Well, now she's not really scared, but she's thinking, this is very unusual. So she runs home as fast as she can, and she slams the door and locks it. But a little while later, she hears a knock at the door. She opens the door, and what a mess. It's all of these articles of clothing just in a heap. She scratched her head and said, I have an idea. So she got the pumpkin head, and she whispered something to him. All righty. So she thought, well, I hope they take my advice. And so with that, she went to bed. Now, the very next morning, she woke up and was having her cup of coffee. And all of a sudden, she hears again. And she opens the door. And who do you think was there? It was a scarecrow. And that's the little old lady who wasn't afraid of anything. And it's such a popular story, and maybe you've even used it yourself. If you go on Pinterest or any of those sites, even if you just Google the title, a myriad of cutouts and handouts and all kinds of little ideas with these little figures of the clothing, match up things for the children to match the names of the gloves with the gloves, pictures and all of that stuff. It's just a great little thing. And you know what? It's scary, but not really scary. Okay. And so that brings another point about being afraid. Now we know that we all have our fears as adults, and kids have their fears too. So they count on us to take care of them. And so I really don't recommend the scary things like the Freddy Kruegers with the slashers and the real blood and all that. That just, we don't need to give our kids bad dreams, but we do want to have some excitement, and we don't want everything to be roses and chocolate all the time. They have to know that there are some exciting things, and sometimes they might feel a little bit afraid. So here is my idea of a story that you can tell very easily to your students or to your kids. And it's exciting, but this is about as scary as I get. So let me get this ready here. So once there was a little girl who had played all day long, and she was tired. So she came in and ate her dinner, and she decided she better go to bed. So she did what she did every single night. She washed her face, she brushed her teeth, she put on her jammies, she kissed her mama goodnight, and she jumped into bed. Well, she was just about to fall asleep when all of a sudden she heard tap, 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 tap at her window. She woke up with a start, went to the window, opened the window, and there in the window, she saw something very scary. She saw a big, ugly face, scraggly hair. And all of a sudden the face spoke and said, "Hello, little girl. Would you like to see what I can do with my long, long fingers and my red, red lips?" "No," said the little girl. She shut the window, jumped into bed, pulled the covers over her, and shivered all night long. Next morning, she woke up and said, "Mama, there was this face in the window and it was so scary." And her mama just said, "Oh, that's nice, dear. Now go out and play." So she did, and tried to forget about that scary face. Well, the second night she comes home, the same thing. It's time to go to bed. So she, help me out here, everybody, because your children will want to help you out. Come on. She washed her face. She brushed her teeth. That's right. She put on her jammies and she kissed her mama goodnight, and she went into bed, pulled the covers up. "I think I'm going to have a good night's rest," she said. And she started to sleep. And all of a sudden, tap, 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 tap at her window. She jumped up, she opened the window, and the voice said, "Hello, little girl. Would you like to see what I can do with my long, long fingers and my red, red lips?" "No," said the little girl. She shut the window, went into bed, pulled the covers way over her head, and shivered all night long. The next morning, "Mama, that face was in my window again." "Oh, that's nice, dear. Go out on and play and have some fun." Well, she tried to. Well, here it is, night number 3. And you only have 3 nights, folks, because after that, it's not good. It's not good storytelling. 3 is the magic number. So anyway, that night she does what? The same thing. She, come on, help me out, everybody. She what? Washes her face. Make sure you get the hand motion too. She washes her face. She brushed her teeth. She put on her jammies. She kissed her mama, and she got into bed. Oh, she was so tired. So she's relaxing. She closes one eye, closes the other eye. Help her snore. Tap, 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 tap again. She gets up, she opens up that window, and there's that face again. "Hello, little girl. You want to see what I can do with my long, long fingernails and my red, red lips? Now she was angry. All right. If you show me what you can do with your long, long fingers and your red, red lips, will you leave me alone? Ha 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 ha. Now, she said, to show you what I can do with my long, long, long fingernails and my red, red lips. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to show you. So that's about as scary as I want to get with the little folks. And so they think it's scary, but it really isn't. It's just silly. So so that's kind of a fun thing. It's easy. You could tell that story. It's been around for a long time, and you don't even have to have the fingernails, but they are kind of fun. So let's see here. What else do we have here? Good. I have to put this one on. I have to have a sparkly. So I have a little thing. This is called Magic in the Pumpkin Patch. Once upon a time, there was a little pumpkin, and it was getting to be Halloween time. And this pumpkin lived in the great big patch with many other pumpkins. Oh, there were fat pumpkins, skinny pumpkins, bumpy pumpkins, striped pumpkins, all kinds of pumpkins, and our little pumpkin here. But something weird was happening because the children were out looking for pumpkins, and they picked all of the other ones and never picked this little pumpkin. Our little pumpkin was so sad and so ashamed. What's wrong with me? So ashamed and so sad that he hid under the leaves. Oh, terrible. So now all the pumpkins were gone. All the pumpkins were gone, except for this little pumpkin who's hiding. So later on that day, some kids came by looking for pumpkins, and they said, oh, we're too late. All the pumpkins are gone. And one of the children went over and said, wait a minute, there's something here underneath the leaves. Look, I found one more pumpkin. And look, it's the best pumpkin because it's already decorated. And of course, our pumpkin turned into a jack-o'-lantern and was the happiest one in the whole patch. Okay, so now a little magic in the pumpkin patch. We have a handout for that on about that for you. And so it is magic. It's a touch magic. I don't know sleight of hand very well, but what you do, we're going to have you make a little pumpkin, and you're going to put it on cardboard. The secret right here, paper clips. And you put the other pattern on there. Okay, and there. And so when he goes inside to hide, I'll turn it on the back. And with the bigger pumpkin has a bigger stem, and so you just grab that underneath the bag and pull it out. And that's how that works. So the pattern is there. It's lots of fun. I'm sure you could embellish the story and do whatever you want with it. Okay, let's see, what's time doing here? Oh, okay. I have one more story, and it's called The Seesaw. This has nothing to do with Halloween or fall or anything, but I just loved it. It was very clever because now we can get some math skills in there, and once again, some social and emotional learning. So the story in short is about a giraffe, and he sits on the seesaw. And take a look at the cover, and you could see what's going on. The little bird wants to play on the seesaw with me. He says, yeah, come on over and play with me. And the bird, well, isn't heavy enough. And so the poor giraffe is just stuck there. So here comes a mouse. And so now it's a mouse and a bird sitting there. No, that doesn't work. They're still not heavy enough. And so here we have a monkey, and the monkey comes around, and all the different animals try it. And so they realize, wait a minute, one of us can't make a dent because the giraffe is so much bigger than we are. So they all jumped on the seesaw. And of course, it was heavier. And so they could go back and forth. And once again, in short, it's a very sweet, simple story. But now we've got some science in there because you could talk about weight. And you could talk about math. Okay, how many little things will add up to a big thing? And of course, it's social and emotional learning. And once again, if you check out the folks at Tools for Life, there are a lot of good resources, because now what are we learning here? We are learning that sometimes one person can't do it, but if we all work together, something wonderful could happen. And in this case, they all had a good time on the seesaw with the giraffe. So that is the story of the seesaw. I highly recommend it. The illustrations are charming and it has a good message. And especially if you have playground equipment at your center, you could even test that out and show what happens when a heavy thing and a light thing. I was even thinking of the little math manipulative. That's the little number. It's a little scale. Okay. And you could even make the cutouts of the animals and put them on and see what's going to balance out. And that's how you can do your numbers too. How to balance out the numbers, which is going to add up to something. And so it'll be pre-math, pre-reading. They could tell the story, and it's very, very sweet. So read about puppies, read about cats, read about horses wearing funny hats. Read in the morning, read at night. When you read a story, everything is all right. So if you read a book, and Ria, you might want to be thinking about this. If you read a book, only one book a day to your children from day one, by the time they're 5 years old, they would have heard 1,825 stories. Isn't that amazing? That is the way we build readers, because they're going to hear the language, they're going to experience it. And all these little activities that we're doing today, you are going to immerse your children in literacy, and then we're going to blend that in with other content areas, and of course, social emotional learning. So now they're going to get a message. They're going to see how reading just isn't something that you do and then put the book down. It's something that could be so valuable to your lives. I just found this the other day, and this really doesn't have anything to do with our preschool children, but it does in a way, because if you do all of these things and you have fun reading with your children and encourage them to read and tell and retell, this is what's going to happen to them when they're adults. I found this. It said, my favorite thing about reading a good book is when I actually forget that I'm reading it, when I devour words without really being aware of it, when I'm so lost in the world and I'm reading about that I forget that I'm not actually there. I hear the voices instead of reading them. I feel the emotions instead of imagining them. I know characters so well that I forget they're only words on paper. I love and hate. I cry and laugh at paper and ink. This is the weirdest and the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. And that's how we want our children to be. Friends with books, so they realize they just can't live without them. A good story, a good piece of information. It'll help them be curious. So I want to just do one more little thing. And this is something that you can do every day with your children. And I'll try to do this here. You're just going to stand with your feet together, your arms down, put your head down. And it is 1. I'm going to duck down 2. And I'm going to separate my legs 3, 4, and put up my head 5. And when you do that, you make a 5-pointed star. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm a star, and watch me shine. And they can twist around, because they are little stars. And especially after they engage in some literacy and storytelling, they are stars. They'll be your stars forever. So there we go. How about that? I got done a little bit early today so we could have questions and answers, huh?
Regina, that's been fantastic. Oh, I'm sure you will. Here, give you a quick sec. Take your breather. Folks are gonna put up our poll for today. Well, you're getting as well. Please do pop your questions into the Q&A chat as well. So I'm just gonna pop up our poll. I'm curious, because I know, Regina, you've been talking a lot about social emotional development, and of course, literature and just reading in general and everything that comes from it, you engage so many different senses. We're curious to know, like, do any centers out there, do you guys formally track, especially when it comes down to social emotional learning, formally tracking it? Are you looking to, like, do you have someone come in and potentially check out the children and see if you're doing a much more formal process? We love to know. I'll leave the poll up. Please do pop some Q&A here. And then Regina, let's get started. I promise I only have hard questions for you.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm so excited that you were able to bring us, by the way, because you were so popular last time we had to bring you back. So I wanted to ask, especially as like children, as they're growing, and we know or like there's no time you shouldn't start reading. Like you should start reading from the day one. That it is obviously very important and it helps build up that language. How do you, or when do you start seeing that social emotional development really start to come into play? Is it when they're a little bit older, or do you find that it actually really impacts them at a younger age? What's been your process so far?
I think it impacts them as soon as they start realizing that they are a person and you are a person and we're all different people. And from the very first time you hold out a cookie to them and they take their hand and grab it, and then you teach them to say thank you. And I think that's a very simple beginning. And that's where it starts, because now we're going to teach them to say thank you. We're going to teach them to do all the little things that we know are make good people. They'll share, they'll say nice things to each other. And I really think it's natural for them to do that. We have to give them permission to be socially aware. And I'll tell you, once a long time ago, when I learned my lesson, my daughter was maybe 2, and she was at that little chatty stage. And I had to take her someplace, and she was wandering around, and it was a store. I did alterations in a store. So there were these 2 ladies talking, and she's toddling around. And before I know it, she's talking to them. I said, come over here, honey. Don't bother those ladies. She says, I'm not bothering them. I'm talking to them. And I thought, all right. She got the idea. She's a person. She can talk. She knows how. And I thought, yeah, that's it. We need to encourage that. We need to encourage, because there's so many situations today where people get so bent out of shape. If they learn from the beginning to acknowledge each other in a positive way, then they wouldn't be afraid of each other, and they would be more secure and more apt to do things like open doors and say thank you and good morning and all of that stuff. So.
And it key comes down from modeling. I think that's a huge piece as well.
Absolutely.
It clearly she saw you doing that, so she's going to participate in the action.
Exactly. Yeah, I was talking to someone else, and so that's it. And so you're absolutely right. The modeling is the thing. That is the way. So we're going to model that positive behavior. We're going to model our literacy. We're going to model everything for the children, and they'll catch on. They're smart.
They are smart cookies indeed. I want to change topics a little bit, not too much. And we know that, of course, with COVID, it's brought a lot of things online. It's a lot of things virtually. I know that you've been sharing a lot of amazing techniques over the course of the last 45 minutes or so. Any tips on virtual learning, especially with literacy, especially while potential children are at home, making sure that they're still getting some great techniques and learning something, even it might be like this, for example, today?
Yeah, it's really hard, because you want the children to work in a group and work and talk to each other. So I'm just thinking, when you share stories, you can basically do what I did today on Zoom. It's just they won't be able to look at each other that same way and run around and do those types of things. Because when I do the little old lady who wasn't afraid of everything, I'll let the children put things up sometimes. Or sometimes what we'll do is I have full-sized boots and pants and everything. And so I give them to each child. And so we all run around the room together and tell that story, and they're clomping and clapping and swishing and everything. And it's so much fun, and they just love it. They just live the story. And obviously you're not going to be able to do that on Zoom, but because you can see everybody, you can tell if they're doing it. So you can say, look, let's do our clapping. Let's do this, that, or the other thing. And it'll work. Excuse me. We have
Oh,
we have
good.
allergies,
We
a
all
lot
do.
of pollen and stuff around here. So let me. Oh my. Well, that's a heck of a Kleenex, huh? Just a little attention getter. I just was thinking of that sometimes if things are looking like maybe the children aren't paying attention, you can rig up just some little fun things like this. And then, it's just some cloth, and then you just.
I love it, Regina. I
Okay.
love it.
So, and of course they might think it's magic. It's not, it's just a little trick. But if you do little fun things like that, especially if there's maybe a lull in the conversation, they'll think it's fun, and then they'll think of some fun things to do too. So anyway, but yeah, with the COVID, it is, the Zooms are it can be done. It might not be as much fun, but it could be.
Yes, there's so many ways around it. And I
Mhm.
find that educators these days have been so imaginative in
Yeah.
ways that I'm so impressed that it's been phenomenal. So we've had
Absolutely.
another great question come through, a
Okay.
little bit off of our Halloween topic, which is totally good
Oh,
though.
that's fine.
I love it. Any book recommendations around positive self-image, mindfulness, just keeping, making sure that children, this goes on to our social development strand that we've been talking about today.
Sure.
Any recommendation you have on some good books for educators out there these days?
Yeah, there's a really nice book. It's called How Are You Peeling? And it is all fruits and vegetables, and they put faces on them. But they came that way in nature. It's a pepper that just kind of grew a particular way, and it's very clever because it helps the reader take a look at their emotions, but they don't see people, they see fruits and vegetables. And so it's all inclusive, because I don't know that there's any ethnicity to peppers and cucumbers, but so they can see themselves there. There's that book. There's a book I just got. It is I Am Enough. It's wonderful. It talks about self-esteem, and maybe you're not fast, maybe you're not tall, maybe you're not this or that or whatever, but you are what you are. And it's helping the children think about themselves and how valuable they are. Very important books there. What else? You know what? If whoever wants to know that, if you would email me, I can give you a whole list of some books that I would recommend.
Oh boy, you're going to get so many emails.
That's okay. That's fine. And right off the top of my head, those are the two books I like. There is one about being the smallest one in the family, and how even though they're the smallest one in the family, they can still help out.
I love that.
And then all of the cookies books, there's Christmas cookies, they're all the little cookies. And I think I showed them the last time. It's the animals, and they talk about baking cookies and about sharing and about a burnt cookie and so forth. And they learn through cookies about emotions and about how to treat each other. It's very nice.
I love it. I love it. Regina, I wanted to ask, what's probably your number one book that you enjoy the most?
Oh, well, my number one children's book is Make Way for Ducklings.
Oh, and there's the why too to go with this.
And the why is because it's such a dear book. It's about, I don't know if people are familiar with it. It's McCluskey wrote it, and it takes place in Boston. It's a family of ducks, and they have a whole little troop of them. Hold on, I'll go get it.
I think I've also read this book. I'm sure folks, let me know in the chat if you have as well, because it is, if I'm thinking about the book that it is, then it's a phenomenal book. And
well, you know what? Now I put it someplace else right now, but anyway, it's about a family of ducks, and the mom goes, the dad has to go away to look for some food and so forth, and the mom's going to meet them, and so she's crossing Boston Common, and here's all these little ducklings, and what do you think happens? The police officer comes out and he puts his hand up and stops the traffic so all the little ducks could come over. And it's so sweet, and all the people are like, oh, it's the ducks, and they're so polite and so wonderful. And I thought, what a wonderful way to model for children how to behave and how to take care of other creatures. And it's a lovely book.
I love it. Regina, we have just a couple of minutes left. We'll go into our wrap up in just a moment, but any last things you'd like to share with us, words of advice, pieces of wisdom, happy thoughts, anything you'd like to share today?
Well, once again, take a look at our first version of this, and keep reading and keep just experimenting, and listen to your kids, watch your kids. And we have to be, as educators, we have to be kid watchers. See what they're doing, how they're reacting to each other. What are their needs, or what do you perceive their needs are? And let them talk to you. Let them talk to each other. Gone are the days we're going to fold our hands on our desks and sit there perfectly quiet and still. That's not going to do anybody any good. We have to let them be themselves and learn how to be people. So they're not that we're going to let them do whatever they want and whenever they want, but they have to know their bounds, but just let them be people and kids, and let them have fun, and let them have lots of books and lots of games and lots of running around to do, because I think it's such a wonderful thing when you see kids out there just running around, just enjoying themselves and laughing and playing, because we all know this, that our young kids learn through play. This is how they learn. So let them play and let them read and let them write and do all of those fun things.
Regina, it was such a pleasure to have you back, to have
Thanks.
all your recommendations, your books, your enthusiasm, all of it. And I know in the chat, your hats as well. They all love your fantastic hats, and just the way you tell stories. I think for me, you could probably read the phone book and I'd still be enthralled, honestly speaking. Thank you so much.
Once again, you can get a hold of me through Tools for Life. And because we have some blogs on there too with other information. And once again, I'm sorry, I just kind of came up short on the other books. Okay. I have tons of them, but once again, if you write to me, Regina at Tools for Life Resources, and I'll come up with lists of books. And if you want, I'll send them out to you too. And we could come out with all kinds of good things. And I'd like to hear from people too, some of the ideas that are going on in our centers.
I think that please do, folks, share the community at large. The bigger, the better. It's great to have all of those tools packed.
One doesn't think of, the next one does.
I know, right?
Better than one.
I know. All right, Regina, thank you so very much.
Thank you. And thanks, everybody.
For the folks who are curious about our poll here, tons of you are doing pen and paper assessments, formal assessments around that social emotional development area in your centers. So that's extremely curious to see a little bit more. And many of you, some of you aren't formally tracking it. It's okay. It just depends on where you are and what's going on at the end of the day. If you didn't get a chance, I'm going to be closing up the poll here, folks, so you won't be able to see it anymore. But let's talk what's next week. It kind of actually really ties in well with you, Regina. We're talking a little bit more about supporting emotional and development. Yeah, we're bringing Prerna Richards back. For those of you who haven't seen her, she's been also as well been on with us before. So Thursday, November 4th. Please don't be shy, folks. You can register now. I believe, Kyle, you can drop that in the chat for us, but we will have that set up for you. And we'll be sending out an invite, of course, if you like to just wait for that guy. But please do sign up. We'd love to have you. And as well, if you didn't get a chance, please do check out our childcare parent satisfaction report. This ebook is totally free, folks. It is jam-packed with just some amazing and insightful statistics. It's only Thursday, guys. We're almost there. And it honestly, it was just so cool to read for myself, just seeing over 500 families participated in this. And it was just fantastic to actually have this at your fingertips. So please do take advantage of it. It's totally, totally free. So as a wrap up, folks, everything Dr. Rees has talked about here today, we're going to be making sure to get these out to you. So you will see all of, if you want to connect up with Dr. Rees, a couple of folks have seen her email go through the chat there already. I know, Alan, you're also dropping it in there. But as well, we're going to send out the handout for your pumpkins. And as well, we're going to have out all the slides and everything from today. So it will be coming out with you to you in the show notes email. But as well, Miss Kaya, I know we're running our social promotion on early childhood educators. I just wanted to bring you back in here, but make sure, folks, if you haven't already, joined our Circle Time group, follow us on social media, as well as check out our preschool podcast as well. Fantastic place to get some insights. But Kaya, we're running our social promotion here.
We are, yeah. We just started this week, and we spotlighted our very first person 2 days ago now. So we're going to be spotlighting someone again next week. So make sure you get your entries in. I've already seen a few more entries come in today from this session. So really, really great to see. I know we have a huge community of educators here. So I absolutely love reading the stories and your why behind why you became an educator, your favorite part of being an early childhood educator. There's so many wonderful people out there, and we want to spotlight you and all of your hard work. So please, I'll pop in the chat one more time. There is a short form there. You can just fill it out, pop in a photo, and maybe you'll be chosen to be spotlighted on our page, and we will send our spotlight winners a swag pack, including our hat.
Ooh, exciting. I love it. I love all of it. Thank you so much, folks. Dr. Rees, thank you again for joining us. Tools for Life for being a part of today's session.
Was wonderful. And thank you to all the educators out there for what you're doing to help our children. You're wonderful.
Agreed.
You're my heroes.
150%. Each and every one of you are absolutely amazing, and we couldn't move forward without you, especially in these times with COVID happening and things like that. But to know that without COVID, we still couldn't move forward without you. So let's be real here. Folks, if you're having fun this Halloween season, please do enjoy it safely, have a lot of fun, get lots of candy, and enjoy it. Dr. Rees with her final costume
My final
change.
hat, the fascinator.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so very much. Everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe, stay happy, and we will see you next Thursday. All take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.